up the volume. Get bearded. Let's start the show.
Welcome to Bearded Biomed. Welcome back to an all-new episode of the Bearded Biomed podcast. I appreciate you joining me here today. You might recognize this gentleman. He's been on the show before, but he's coming back because we got a lot more to discuss, a lot of things happening, and we're going to let you know about them. So if you're not familiar with this gentleman, Janesh Patel, very much trendsetter in the industry, has done a lot, and he's still doing more. Cool thing is the reason I have him on here today is because there's a lot of shaking and moving going on in the industry that you need to be aware about, whether you're a current biomed, you're interested in getting into the field as a biomed, and new avenues and new opportunities within our profession that previously were not available that's happening now. So you need to be aware, stay tuned. And Janesh, just for the people listening, watching, if you could just give like a synopsis of, where you come from, for folks that might not be aware.
Yeah, absolutely. Chase, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Love listening to your podcast and just the information you provide to the ecosystem. It's always very helpful for me and keeping me up to date with what's going on too. For those that don't know who I am, I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Uptime Health. My background is I am a biomedical engineer. I was a clinical engineering manager for an Austin, Texas healthcare system. So I lived and breathed in this space. And part of what we're doing with our company at Uptime Health is figuring out ways to continue to get the awareness of good technicians or qualifications, skill sets in the provider's hands, where they're the urgent care owners, dentist office owners, veterinary office owners, optometry office. All these people need support. And to your point, there's some of these industries that aren't as well oiled as medical. And I know sometimes we say medical can be better. There can be more biomeds, there can be more support and technician. But now that we're in some of these other spaces, I see so much opportunity to help expand not just existing biomeds and getting them training to these next sectors, but then also there's just a lot more opportunity from a number of location counts to get businesses starting to grow and get that revenue picked up so you can go hire more technicians. So happy to dig into any of those avenues. Like I know we're focusing on dental right now and something that we are really making a lot of headway in, even with the CBET college. So I can get into that, or you point me in the direction you want me to go first.
So my relationship spawned with you guys twofold. Of course, having you initially talking about what Uptime does on the biomedical side of it, right. But also do services with you guys through my day-to-day job as well. There's nothing wrong. Certainly, with any kind of business portfolio, you want to expand and be diverse. And what I appreciate about what you guys are tackling is besides doing smart business, you guys are essentially being multifaceted and providing something that wasn't presently there before. For the folks that aren't aware of how the dental space has been over the years, per the conference that I got to attend last October, it was described to me as the wild, wild west, and no regulatory compliance. Everybody's out there just deciding what they're going to do on the drop of a hat at their own whims. And you guys are coming to clean that up and through trainings and job opportunities and a lot of movement going on in this space. Certainly, let's start with the partnership you guys have in place with the College of Biomedical Equipment Technology, aka CBET.
Yeah.
What's going on with that endeavor?
And Chase, to your point, it is a wild, wild west out there. Sorry, did I freeze or?
I think you're good to go.
Okay, sorry. I just want to make sure. I know you can go back and edit this stuff, but all right. So basically the CBET college, we love Monty and those guys. They've done a great job creating good curriculum in schools for the biomed technicians that we used to hire at our health system. And what we realized, to your point, is dental is kind of a wild, wild west, not just from a maintenance and compliance standpoint of the machines, but also who gets to service and maintain these devices. We're so used to the Joint Commissions and the AAAHCs, DNBs telling us, hey, you got to do it this way. You got to document it this way. You need to report on it this way. And when you go to dentistry, there's no real equivalent body that does that kind of stuff. So it gives room for a lot of interpretation, a lot of people just to use their brother-in-law down the street to go fix their stuff versus having a true trained professional to do it. So when we entered in that market, I tried to figure out where are these technicians coming from? Like, how did they even get their training? The ones that are going into offices saying, I am a dental equipment repair technician. And what I found out is most of them either get on the job training they're not trained, and they kind of are very skilled people that know how to fix things, which, trust me, those guys exist, but it's always good to have true, proper training at the same time. And the last one is they either work for a major distributor that has maybe a school inside of that distribution company that trains them on how to do it. So it's a little bit more formal, but you have to get a job before you actually learn the job. So it's a little bit of a barrier to entry. And so all those things, I was just like, why is there no CBET equivalent? Or why is there no community college equivalent that is producing these technicians? To be honest, they didn't even realize they needed it. They thought they were doing just fine. It's kind of that ignorance is bliss mentality. But they are facing the same problem as every other BMET and, HTM kind of group is, which they're graying out. There's not a lot of new entrants. And we talked about the barriers. There's no real schooling and curriculum to get trained up really quickly. So we went and we partnered with CBET to say, hey, do we want to create a dental equipment repair technician school equivalent of what you guys are doing for the medical side? And although they were very interested, part of the other problem, which we also know in medical, is if you have no access to the actual equipment or the parts or the training, it's hard to create a good curriculum.
Yep.
So what we did is we raised our hand and said, we have relationships. We will go work with our partners. We will get that equipment donated, the curriculum donated, get their blessing. Heck, they're even sponsoring stuff like getting scholarships and stuff in that school because they realized how big of a missing gap this was after we came to them with this idea. And they're like, oh my gosh, we need to be doing more to help this college out. So basically, Monty and their team have received this, equipment, information, collateral, and they're building a best-in-class curriculum, which I believe got accredited late last year. All now coming to head. What we want to do is now arm the biomeds out there with a way to now get educated on how to go fix that dental equipment chair or that, CBCT, the dental x-ray, or the compressors and the vacuums in that office, all the things that you might not have had access to, whether it's the user manuals, the parts, or even just knowing how to get the certifications to say you can do it. We've unlocked that door with this school in my mind. And it's now allowing you to not just work on more equipment because we're seeing an integration of dental and medical happening more and more and more and more. And there's a whole movement called MDI, medical dental integration. So this is going to happen more often. And to me, the biomeds that are set and ready with the skill set to manage both types of equipment in the same building can now get better contracts, bigger contracts. They can even command more hourly rate in my mind. I know the dental equipment repair guys, their hourly rates, I don't want to say them on here because I don't want to misquote anybody because they're all over the place, but
they're doing quite well. It is very much, it's not priced like a general biomed, it's priced like a specialty.
Yes. And for general work. Like and that's where I think, you want to increase your own margins. You want to help expand your business. It's a win-win-win for everybody. And that's kind of why I think it's important.
Yeah. And that's been y'all's mantra is win-win solutions, which is kind of out of the box in general in business.
I don't think it matters if one person doesn't win, then there's somebody who's always upset and they're going to try and figure out how to tear down the system. But yet if they can figure out how they can win, there's no reason to tear it down. And that's what I want to make sure is kind of the attitude we go to all these partners with. That's why the manufacturers, they're not scared of it. In fact, they want it. Unlike medical, where they sometimes hold it back.
Right.
Dental is take it, please, because they don't have any technicians on staff as the OEM, which there's no kind of crossroads that is getting hit like it used to be.
There's so much to unpack with that because literally you have the buy-in from the OEMs to enrich the workflow and the workforce coming to them. They know they're getting a competently trained program technician out of, what you guys have partnered with CBET. So, and the cool part of that is from a biomed perspective, we do have some integration with dental already. Company I work for, some of the clinics we actually take care of a couple dental offices already.
Yeah.
And like you alluded to, the MDI, there's a lot of surgical procedures nowadays. There's a lot of this stuff overlaps, especially if you want to get into the dental imaging aspect of that too. Yeah. There is a lot out there available for folks that want to, let's say you're a 1099 contractor. I know you guys bring in technicians that have been trained and offer them opportunities to go out there and make a business for themselves. My opportunity to go to the dental summit last October, I got to meet a lot of those individuals that literally cut their teeth without all of these avenues available to them and are very successful, which was an incredible experience, and really hearing the the relative like comparison between the dental space, the biomed space, like there's a lot of similarities, but there's key gaps that you guys obviously identified. And I think from a biomed perspective is we're already capable of doing so much. Dental is just another aspect that we can add to our tool belt to make us more specialized in something, more relevant, something to go on your resume. Like I said, obviously, if you want to go get extra money, that's always a highly lucrative endeavor. And this is just the beginning. Who knows what's going to happen next and what could come from it? Down the line, you think about it, we have the certified biomed, we have the certified healthcare technology manager, certified radiology equipment specialist. This could end up to where there's a certified dental equipment specialist someday.
Yep.
That avenue is there.
That's what we're trying to get to, which is one, it makes people feel like they have that level of knowledge. And, sometimes that reinforcement mechanism of like, I know what I'm doing, but I'm glad now I've gone through the paces, seen and touched the machines, and maybe something I've never had to do before. So I'm now certified by the OEMs or a school. But then on the client side, they get that extra level of comfort, which is like, why would I pay a little bit more for you? Because you come with this credentialing. So I think overall, we have to get there. And I think the other part, which you mentioned, is the industry just feels different than it did in medical. And I had to throw away a lot of my preconceived notions when we started figuring out how to serve this dental community, which was OEMs aren't your enemy. They're your friend here. And the dentists and the people are looking for more people like you. They just don't know where to find you because there's not a lot of them out there and they can't get used through school. And so I think all that to say is a lot of opportunity. A lot of people are making a lot of good money right now, even without having the formal education, because it's just been that way since so long. But you guys come in, we can help create a better world for everybody.
And I think too, you alluded as well, like the way things are progressing, if you think of like a EMR, for instance, all the medical records and everything we currently experience in the medical field. If I remember correctly, at the conference, there was this conversation to where the dental records are going to start integrating with regular EMR to begin with. If has that already happened or is it in the process?
I think it's either in the works or in the process. I'm not sure if it's happened, but we have seen this, even some big dental groups have started to use things like Epic or Clinical Works, which have traditionally been more on the medical side and kind of stayed that way. So we're starting to see these other companies kind of eke into that space. And the reverse, we're starting to see just better integrations and tools. Last thing I'll just comment, just to make sure people, who are thinking about, why would I even consider going to other kinds of devices when I know medical so well? Because equipment's all not that different. Outside of a chair and a CBCT and a compressor and a vacuum, the sterilizer is almost the exact same sterilizer. Now they have different kinds of autoclaves and sterile processing kind of machines, but at the end of the day, it feels and looks a lot like the machines that you currently work on. It's just different buttons to know and tests to run that you have to learn.
When I was trying to describe to one of my techs really the main difference between biomed equipment and dental equipment, it's probably too simplistic. But a lot of it is very much its own internal system. It's a lot of it's like small hand pieces. Like you got even like your curing lights, and there's a little bit more. I don't want to say refinement, but you go into a hospital and you work on an EKG or a electrosurgical unit or something like that. It's a big blocky box. You walk into a dental office, it's all these little instruments everywhere. And then you got the chair, and then you got your dental unit, and then like you said, you just got the air and the compressor. From what I understand, talking to a lot of these veterans in the dental field in October at that summit, is really if you can really grasp the main HUD of dental, which is do they got their air, do they got their water, are they able to do the services? You will be a godsend to a lot of these doctors.
Yeah.
And for even the people that aren't even interested in pursuing this, because there's going to be some, I just don't care to get into dental. At least at the very least, that we're going to start having an influx of trained people taking care of equipment that is going to be used to service your teeth. Because some of the stories I heard at that summit, like it made me really question if I wanted to go back to the dentist. Just some of the scary stuff that they had mentioned.
It's Jason, you remind me of like even when we first started Uptime Health, because we started in medical. That's where we both met at the beginning, right? It was like we went with urgent cares and surgical centers, and I went into some of them, and I'm like, guys, give me your MEMP or give me your plan to do your maintenance management. They're like, what are you talking about? Or
you mean our MSDS sheets?
Yeah, I would say like, can you tell me like how you're taking care of these devices. And like, oh, we don't have to take care of them. I'm like, who told you that? They're like, oh, I've been in this industry for a while. Like, and we never had to do this. It's like, that's not how this works. And it's like these rural kind of clinics and they don't really know they're much better. And we're trying to help them get better. And I was like, man, I would be really scared to get my care here, even though it all looks nice and it feels like it's going to do its job. Like there's no, chase on the back end, making sure the equipment's calibrated, running, up to snuff. And in the dental world, it's like that as well at some level. And so I think getting more people out there is just going to help us all as patients at the same time.
Yeah, it's better overall for healthcare in general. But what do you see on the horizon? Obviously, from what I understand, the training is live, right? Like people can sign up at CBIT, which I do plan on getting Monty and some of his team over here to discuss.
Yeah.
Exact details of their program. But as far as from what I saw, like people can go ahead and start signing up for this.
Yeah. So definitely Monty and them will be the best people to get like the true nitty gritty since they're running the program, but it is a live program. I think the first cohort goes through in April, so you can already start signing up. We also have an e-learning system just to get, digital based learning and content it's already live and people are already using it and signing up for that as well. So we're trying to do a multifaceted approach, which there's no, one size fits all. To get the real certification
right
in the school, but at least you can get your chops wet and like understand what you're getting into by doing the e-learning side of things as well. And for us, the what's next is continuing to provide more and more content from professionals as we start working with them in the dental field and saying you're best in class for what you do, or you're a technician that people seem to refer to a lot. We'll get them to help build our content and continue to give it out to our community. And I think the last thing is we're working closer and closer to manufacturers. So we're trying to unlock more and more of these OEMs to go into that school, or at least provide avenues for technicians to go get their training. And just like in medical, you have to pay a lot of money sometimes to get this training. That's not the case in dental. Like sometimes they just want to have more people that are taking care of their stuff since they're not doing it themselves. And so we're trying to show you guys where that opportunity is and just open the door and you walk through.
I look at it too as with the relationships that you guys have been able to establish with the manufacturers. It's it's refreshing because anybody that's on the biomed space knows sometimes, depending on certain OEMs, our hands are tied. And this is very much being hopeful and having a dream that may or may not ever come to fruition. But there's always that grassroots approach to fighting the fight for right to repair, getting access to technical literature, parts, training, etc. If we can do that on the dental side, then and that argument is being made sound day after day, and it's represented, like we can point to that, and it gives us, at the very least, it gives us something to stand on when we make that argument to move that space in the medical, overall arching, what we do as a biomed on day to day.
I think that's where, I think you already know where I stand on that issue, which is I'm completely pro right to repair, right? And it is refreshing seeing like that is almost just the default mentality of this industry. So to your point, we continue down this pathway, we create the blueprint. It's easy for others to start saying, okay, I get it, I understand it. The other thing I think that's going to be a headwind that's working in everybody's favor on the HTM side, that on the right to repair debate at least, is we all know technicians are hard to find. Like that's a problem, not just for the biomeds that are independent ISOs or working in the clinical engineering departments of health systems. It's also the same reality for the manufacturers, the big guys out there. You're not going to name names, but at the end of the day, they have the exact same pressure that we have. And at some level, letting everyone kind of not be single point specialists, but have maybe a few hats they wear. They can work on OEM 1, 2, and 3. And that kind of lets them take a step back to be in the independent realm versus a W-2 to employ somewhere else. I think we're going to start seeing a little bit of that pressure create that relief we're looking for to say, look, this might be the paradigm for even service repair PM. Maybe you still have your W-2s for install because you want to do the sale, you want to do all that other stuff, and you want to make sure it's correct whenever it's turned on the first time. But the other stuff maybe start giving away and just making sure you're doing it in the right way, creating these schools, these programs. And so I think it's just time is going to be in our favor, but I am planning to continue to promote right to repair and using the blueprints you're creating to just be able for other people to point at and then say, look what they're doing.
And I know you come from the clinical engineering background as well. On the, general medical equipment device, when you're talking about procurement and capital asset planning, That's when you're getting into the contract negotiation aspect with the OEMs before you sign something. Hey, this is our only opportunity to have a foot forward to negotiate training, et cetera, for our technicians after the contract. The funny part is you guys are getting that without having to negotiate for it, which I'm very envious of. But
Chase, don't give them ideas yet. You know what I'm saying? No kidding.
But all right, there. It looks like it's freezing for a second. There we go. And we're back. But my son really wants to get into this conversation. He's adamant, just like his dad, about right to repair. Future Biomed there. So there's a lot on the horizon. And like I said, your key partnerships in place. I foresee this in the field in general. When you talk about the HTM ecosystem, I would not be surprised 10, 15, 20 years down the line that we adopt something along the lines of a journeyman system, an apprenticeship system, like our other trade professions, our plumbers, our electricians, our HVAC, because this biomed in itself is a trade profession, just like dental is as well. It takes technical training and time and experience. And I think that's going to be one of our main avenues, especially with what we're talking about with CBET. If you're establishing a clear pipeline for the manufacturers to be able to source technicians, that's going to be, honestly, I think that's going to be one of our main negotiation pieces to, if you formalize training with our entities that are doing it the right way, we're going to help get you technicians to facilitate you taking care of what you need to do. This can be instrumental in having that conversation overbroading with some of our, more OEMs that don't really want to do or play in the pool with anybody else. Yeah. So I look at this big picture wise.
Yeah. And one thing, and this is where you have a little bit of maybe, I'm not going to call it old school, but like the way it used to be done and the way that people used to think about how repair, maintenance, and your business should be run as the OEM and the medical side. We should do everything, own everything, control everything. That way quality is always in our heads, whether it's right or wrong, up to our OEM standard quality. And we're not relying on these independents that we can't control. We don't know what they're doing out in the field. But what we've kind of been talking about, even to manufacturers on the dental side and other manufacturers on the other industry sides, is whether you want to or not to believe and admit this, there are people who are working and fixing your machines that aren't calling you today. Like, I'm not endorsing that. I'm not saying like that's the right way to do it, but it is happening for a couple reasons. You're too expensive. You actually don't service that area. You haven't put other trained quality professionals in that area to do supplemental service because you don't have W-2 employees out there.
Right.
You're taking too long to get out there. There's all these reasons that they're just going to go figure it out and do it the wrong way. And I'm saying wrong in terms of like they're not trained. They might not have the right parts in hand. They're using some other parts. Who knows what it is? Like they're just not doing it the kosher way according to you. And you can never fix that problem. And that problem will only get bigger and bigger as this technician issue continues to expand and expand for all of us, like and the prevalence of it. So we're creating this bigger and bigger gap. And why not solve it by just giving access to the people who are at least qualified, trained, have been there, done that, and they just don't know how to work on your machines yet because you've not given them the opportunity to learn. But they are truly technically trained and qualified. So let's get more of those people out there. So we're filling the void with good people and not somebody who's doing something for no reason.
I think too, it's an easier sell also for somebody that's private equity as opposed to like a publicly owned company because they have shareholders. And at the end of the day, they want the company to continue to grow, make more profits. There is a greed incentive in there a little bit to where, okay, do we have to make money on the sale, the service, the warranty, and then after the unscheduled repairs, or let's reallocate those resources to where we can make money through partnering, through training, and open up the doors a little bit, which also is going to increase, technician and public purview of you being willing to, make sure your devices are taken care of the correct way and, not have a story like a certain tractor company.
Yeah, I think that's true. But then there's also, even if publicly traded companies out there, there's still business incentive to do it differently because if, us running a business, you guys running a business, at the end of the day, people still have to hire. There's time and energy being spent to train, recruit. There's time and energy being spent to manage and payroll. But then you have insurances, you have vans, you have gas, you have tires, you have maintenance, there's all these other things that are on top of just having that person. So that in my estimation, the greed factor is becoming less and less of a factor because their margin on that business is becoming squeezed so tightly over time. Because the elasticity on these repair hours, you can only go so high before someone says it's too much. But yet your costs are increasing because the cost of living is going up and everything else. So people are getting squeezed. You have to think about it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's be frank. The economy ebbing and flowing, like everybody's tightening their belt right now.
Yeah.
And, especially alluding back to the dental offices, they're going to do what they need to do to keep their operations running. Because if they don't have a chair going, then they're losing money by the hour.
Yeah, and
so
it's funny. That's exactly their incentive to do these things. Remember when we talked at the beginning of like how dental is different to Wild Wild West versus medical? Medical, a lot of our incentive is related to compliance and whatever, right? That's like a key thought in term in which we sell on. Dental, missed revenue, poor reputation. Like those are the things that actually move the needle because every down hour of that chair, it's like $1,000. It's like it's a lot of money. I'm going to get that thing up and running ASAP, whether you want me to or not.
And healthcare in general, I mean, we talked about the last time you were on with urgent cares, ambulatory centers, stuff like that. It's very, at least in my experience, it's some of it's kind of a flip turn business. You run them pretty much to where you get as much maximized out of them, sell them to the next person, and then they basically reopen under a different name, but different wrapper. Kind of. I mean, if you think about it, if we don't have the support structure to take care of all of these medical facilities, all of these clinics, all of these urgent cares, everything across, there's no way everybody has especially on either side, medical or dental, like we don't have the workforce to support all of these locations. Right. There's some place out there right now that has never been touched whatsoever by a technician's hand.
Yes, absolutely. Outside of the days I installed, I guarantee you, like from there, it's been their brother or the dentists themselves. It's very handy.
And I know several clinics. There's a couple doctors that we take care of. They love shopping on eBay. That monitor broke. Instead of buying something a little bit more relevant, I'm just going to buy the exact same monitor for a couple $100 and keep pushing along.
I've seen that. Trust me. It's like, I was like, where'd you get that? Like eBay. I was like, okay, I'm not sure that's, you got that. I also said who installed it. Like once he got it on eBay, like, oh, we just did it. Like, that can't be real.
Who did the electrical safety? Oh, well, our guy Tom in the back, he went and got a cheap one off of eBay as well. So he tested who calibrated the meter. All right, now you're just asking too much.
Yeah. Stop trying to trip me up. That's what they're basically going to tell you.
So you guys are planning, I believe my buddy Matt Lau, who's also been on the show, works for Uptime. Y'all are planning your next dental conference, dental summit, coming up later in this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's going to be in Carolina, correct?
Yeah, it's going to be in North Carolina. I'll get you. Give me 1 second. I don't want to misquote where it is because I know we just solidified it the other day.
I mean, both the Carolinas are nice, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. Let me see. Give me 2 seconds. I know we put this on our internal chat threads.
But I'll be sharing the links and everything for folks. I would highly encourage you coming out to check out this summit. I know me and B-Hawk went out this prior one, and it was eye-opening, but also the amount of information shared is definitely worthwhile. And if I remember correctly, you guys are going to be working with the manufacturers to have some on-site training there as well.
Yeah, that's half the reason we want people to come out there. It's not just to learn about what is this world of dental equipment repair, but it's also get some early, forms of training, like learning with the manufacturers. You get to meet them too. Again, it's a whole different paradigm. They want to meet you. They want to know who you are. They want to start learning how to work with you, especially through us. They'll get you access to parts. Once you start signing up, they'll get you access to even equipment that you could sell when something does break down. They want to be able to help flip those things, saying, okay, that you need to replace that sterilizer, you need to replace a handpiece, whatever it is. They're actually going to try and open you guys up through us to be able to facilitate that. So it's all just potentially a place for you to understand why is this world different, but how to use it to your advantage to grow your business. I think that's going to be, to me, the biggest success factor. All right, here we go. So sorry, it took me a little bit. I had to scroll up a couple times through our little chat threads because we've been getting a lot of sponsors coming to us right now. But overall, for this 2025 Dental Fix Summit, we're going to host it in North Carolina. We're going to put it, I think it's like an Embassy Suite out there. There it is. It's an Embassy Suite, Uptown Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going to have even a nice reception at the Indianapolis, I think, or whatever. There's
the Indianapolis Raceway over there. Yeah, that'll be cool. I will also say, because I go to several conferences throughout the years, you guys had some of the best food served as well during the conference.
Appreciate that.
For those of you that like to frequent conferences and you get the sad sandwich, they don't do that. No, they serve you right. Like they take care of you.
I've been to too many conferences where I'm like, what is this thing? And it's like, and again, we believe a couple things. Like, I don't think there's enough conferences out there that are purpose built for the people who do the work, right? Like there's always these for the vendors, for the providers, but
Right.
even though we have Amy, which I love that conference to death, it's one of my favorites, and the MD Expos and everybody else's of the world. But I want to facilitate things like trainings, like let you guys network with each other and facilitating those moments for you guys to collaborate and do that, but do it with good food, good environment, like-minded people. And I think that's what we're trying to build upon. So
yeah, you're going for a very focused approach.
Yeah.
For this summit, whereas Amy is in a lot of different discussions in a lot of different rooms. They have honestly a lot of different things they need to address all at once in one conference.
Yeah, because they're so big. They
yes,
so much. It's like it's hard to be like in every.
I tell people it's very hard to describe what an Amy conference is unless you've actually gone to one. It's massive. The only one bigger that I would describe that people have told me would be HIMSS, but that one's like 60,000 people that attend. That's too much interaction for me.
Yeah, it's like my extroverness versus my introvertness. I'm going to start going in my little hotel room and just ordering pizza and calling.
Right. The speaking of Amy, correct me if I'm wrong, but luckily Danielle and Robert were able to come out and meet with you guys this last October and understand the constraints and what you guys are trying to accomplish. And there's a lot of discussion about Amy opening arms to the dental side. Yeah. And for folks that might be interested, where is that leading to?
This is perfect. What we talked about when we first started this podcast was all about, exposing this idea in this new world to the medical side, which might have been, not, I'm going to say blind, but maybe didn't know enough about how the dental world worked, because there's always been like this invisible wall. And so when Amy came out to our summit, they were like, whoa, this is a different world. The manufacturers do have a different relationship with you guys. You do have a different way of doing business. And they want to expose that to the Biomed and HTM community that they know so well. And so they're actually letting me do the keynote speaking on Sunday at Amy to go over this opportunity that we're talking about here in a little bit more depth. I'll have more actionable items as to how to do it, what to do, and like how to think about it from a business owner's perspective or a technician's perspective. But they're leaning in quite significantly to saying, we want our HTM community to know that there's other verticals out there that need your support too. And we're going to figure out pathways to get you that education and training in the event you're curious enough to want to tackle that new market. And so they're loving it, and they're going to want to work with us really closely here soon.
I pretty much look at it as a call to arms to get on the train of this venture that's going to quickly expand, like you said, the verticals of biomed in general and the medical space in general. Because who knows what heights it could go to. I mean, look at the expansion of healthcare year after year and the technologies, the individual jobs of doing everything in different sectors and different departments of the hospital. Dental is just another department that you never know could be eventually integrated into a hospital system someday, just because it's all getting integrated anyway.
Well, to your point, we look at the market at large to say, what do we need to do to future-proof ourselves? Without one, we have to get more technicians out there. And that's going to be I'm going to beat that drum all day long, right? I want more biomeds in the world. But then it's like, what do the biomeds need to know is the next thing, is medical, of course. Dental should be right up there because there's more dental offices. There's 150,000 dental offices out there. So when you think about opportunity, it's what is the next opportunity? Well, there's only 10 to 12,000 urgent cares and only 10 to 15,000 ASCs, but there's 150,000 dental offices. That's a lot of opportunity to go get your feet wet and learn and get better and better and better about how you do that work. And then optometry might be next. Then dermatology, med spa, there's all these different things that are coming down just the general way we deliver care that we just need to make sure biomeds are ready to eat up that opportunity when the opportunity comes.
Yeah. You never know. This could go into an endeavor to where we're starting to work as a biomed on cool sculpting.
Yeah. Also, give me a free appointment and then I'll work on your machines too.
Yeah. Take care of your love handles and calibrate you.
It's a win-win. Again, look at the win-win mentality. Everyone's winning.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming next. Like I said, folks, stay tuned. I'm also going to be bringing the CBET team on here and give you a deep dive into what that curriculum is going to look like and the next endeavors going forward. Like I said, I'll have the information in the episode for the upcoming summit. I highly encourage you to attend it. Like I said, me and B-Hawk will be there. It's going to be an amazing opportunity for you to possibly get some training, network, and really learn the ropes of what opportunities are out there for you. As always, Uptime is trying to truly set some trends and change the game in many ways. I love working alongside you guys, and any way I can champion and send that message out to where we start actually making some tangible changes.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
Likewise, always here to support you guys as well, and whatever you can do in terms of like telling me what we can improve on. We're here to listen because we're building for the HTM community at the end of the day. So we need feedback at the same time.
So as always, I appreciate Uptime sponsoring Bearded Biomed. You guys allow me to do what I'm passionate about, which is Biomed. For anybody that watches, listens, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, a like, subscribe, comment, share, get the message out there. I love engaging with y'all. People that reach out, ask me questions. That's what I'm here for. I'm a resource for information. And if I don't know the answer, I likely know somebody that has it. So at the end of the day, thank you for your support. Janesh, congratulations on this next endeavor, and I'm staying tuned to what's next.
I appreciate you, Chase. Thanks for having me.
May the beard be with you. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
Biomed.